The Baseball Together Network presents the Seattle Baseball Together podcast with your hosts, Blackjack Brad and Jewell Young. And now, Seattle Baseball Together.
Welcome back to this month's episode of the Seattle Baseball Together podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Brad, and as usual, I'm with our guy, Jewell. Welcome, Jewell. How are you today?
What up, people? I'm doing much better than last month, where I was severely allergic. But this month, I'm chilling. I'm great. I'm feeling good.
Good. I'm glad. And I'm feeling pretty good right now. The Mariners just beat the Yankees in Game 2 of this 3-game set in New York. So I'm feeling pretty good right now. I forgot. Let's go ahead and welcome everybody to this month's therapy session on the couch. I feel like it's a pretty good session, Jewell. Pretty good session today or this month because the Mariners they're still hot. Let's be honest. They're still really hot, playing really good baseball. They figured things out starting July 2nd and won 14 games in a row going into the All-Star break. And then, of course, you got to come out and face the Astros, right?
Of course.
And then drop those 3. But you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I always say that I don't like guys going to the All-Star game because they risk injury, i.e. Julio Rodriguez, right? He hurt his wrist in the home run derby. But on the other hand, the Astros had a bunch of guys representing their team.
They're like, what, 6, right?
I think so. Something like they had a ton. Either way, those guys came out fresh because they'd been playing baseball for 3 days when everybody else was off.
Yep.
Right? So I don't know. It's kind of a two-edged sword, but you drop those 3, the Astros, then come back and then you sweep Texas to sweep the Rangers the very next series. Take them and leave them. The Astros, to me, right now, Jewell, I don't know if you would agree with me on this, but I feel like the Astros are the best team in baseball right now.
100%. They 100% are. There's no team that really matches up well against the Astros. Maybe now the Braves do post-deadline. Because I think the Braves are an excellent team, top to bottom, bullpens, rotation, everything. But even then, it's hard to see the Astros not going all the way through the AL, just running their way through the AL this year. New York's no match for them.
Right.
No, right. New York's not a match for them. We're certainly not a match for them. Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Toronto.
Honestly, Jewell, I would not be surprised if Tampa Bay missed the playoffs if they did not get in as a wild card because they have too many injuries, and now they've got Zunino and Kiermaier out for the rest of the season. That, to me, that's just too much. Those 2 guys, that's too much.
But they did restock with the deadline. They got David Peralta. They got Christian Bethancourt. They got pieces to help their team.
Jose Siri from the Astros. Yeah.
Like, they got the pieces they needed. Like, they got very Tampa Bay Ray pieces, which I think keep them competitive and keep them in it. And Kevin Cash, he's so great at managing this team. He's so great at what he does. I don't see how he's not he's going to be the 3rd wild card.
I don't know.
I don't think Cleveland's there. The Orioles sold off too many pieces.
But you know what, though? I was looking at the Orioles today because my sister-in-law tonight they live in Texas. They're at the Rangers and Orioles game. And I was looking at that, like, who's still there? Like, they're still a pretty good team, the Orioles. They still have, they have Adley Rutschman. They started winning when Rutschman came up, right?
Yeah,
they still have
huge
Mountcastle.
Rutschman.
They still have
Mullins, Hayes.
Yeah, like they're still like
still
mostly
really
who they are.
Team.
In fact, currently at the moment they're up on the Rangers, and I understand it's the Rangers. They're up 8-1.
Yeah, no, I think the Orioles are still really good. I think they're going to push Tampa Bay, which is why Tampa had to go out and make moves, like a lot of moves. Tampa Bay's also been without Wander Franco for most of the year.
They're going to continue to be without him for much of the rest of the year. Anthony Santander, that was the other name I was trying to think of.
Santander, yep.
Yeah.
So they have pieces. I think the Orioles could push for that 3rd wild card. I wish Cleveland would have went out and made a move. Like something bold to go out and say, hey, we're still in this, but instead they kind of stood exactly where they're at, which is okay.
Yeah. It is. I think Cleveland honestly feels like they're right there with Minnesota. They're right there with the Twins, and I think that's what they're going to try to do the rest of the way. Is they're just going to try to keep pace with the Twins and get in with the division because they've got more ground to make up in the wild card than they do in the division.
True.
So why shoot for the wild card when the division is way more accessible and the Twins are dealing with a ton of injuries too?
True. And the Blue Jays, they're a volatile team. Like they are, they're on an interim manager. Don't forget.
Right. So random.
So the stretch run. So who knows what's going to happen on the stretch for this team? They've had really bad. They've had low lows. They've had meh highs. They've been very up and down. And I don't think that with the interim manager, a team that has a lot of pressure to succeed, but also has to play division mates like Tampa Bay and Baltimore, who are also right there down the stretch. I don't think Toronto can. I personally don't think. I think Toronto can fall out very quickly, and you see Cleveland and Baltimore sneak in with Seattle.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, we saw the wheels came off with the Red Sox, right, and then they were selling at the deadline. So it can happen just like that. It's a long season, but it's also fickle, right? Yeah. Anything can happen. It's crazy because the Mariners were pretty much out of it and they go on that winning streak and now they're right in the thick of it. It looks like they're going to be able to hold serve the rest of the way because of strength of schedule and because they can hang with the Yankees. To me, that says a lot.
Yeah, like tonight's win, like they matched them home run for home run tonight. Like the rest of the, this last, since the All-Star break aside, put that all aside, you focus on this game alone. Like, yes, we're no match for Houston. We swept Texas. We went to Texas and exactly what we had to do. Good baseball teams beat the bad baseball teams. Yep. That's what we're going to do here over the next 2 months. We're going to beat all these bad baseball teams a lot. We're going to pile up wins, like a lot of wins. And tonight's win,
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised because this is game 2 of 6 in a week with the Mariners against the Yankees. I wouldn't be surprised if, with the way that they match up with the Yankees, I wouldn't be surprised if they finish this series 3-3.
Yes, especially going back home and getting out of the short porch and, Yankee Stadium that it is very hitter friendly and going to a ballpark where their pitchers are going to have to pitch.
Yeah.
Because
well, and one thing tonight,
same as Seattle.
Right. One thing tonight was Carlos Santana. We'll get to him more in a little bit later. He had a ball that went to the wall in left field, and the way that it kicked back, I feel like actually hurt him in Seattle. Left field I believe, was a little bit farther out there, so I think he would have gotten just enough extra distance toward the wall on that he was barely out at third for a triple. I think he would have had that triple.
He would have had that triple. It was a bang play.
Double advancing to third. I don't want to say it's not a true triple because they threw home. But I think
it would have been a true triple in Seattle.
It could have been,
Carlos Santana of all people.
I know. It's like, man, I couldn't believe how close he was.
He did pitch run the other night. He did pitch run. So hey, maybe
that's right. Maybe we'll start calling him Wheels Santana.
Hey, if he can go, if Vogelback can go from second to home in 9 seconds, Santana can get a triple. Yeah, under 8. If Vogelback can do that in New York with the Mets, Santana can do it for us. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
I think so. You're right. So real quick, just finishing recapping July. Currently, as of post game on August 2nd, the Mariners are 18-7 in the month of July. 1-1 in August, but they were 18-7 in July. One of those losses came against the A's on July 1st, and then the other 6 were against the Astros.
I'll take it, man. That's exactly what we're saying. They beat all the other teams. We don't hang with Houston.
No, not yet, and that's fine because nobody hangs with Houston right now, unless you're Oakland, then you sweep them. But that's
somehow.
Just weird.
Somehow.
But we're done playing Houston the rest of the season, so I'm fine with that. Okay. Trade deadline. This is the reason this is coming out a couple days late, is because the trade deadline was today at 3 p.m. Pacific time for those of us living in the Pacific time zone. Most of us, I'm assuming, as Mariners fans. And it was wild and crazy. Absolutely wild and crazy for the rest of the league. Seattle was relatively quiet, and I feel like that was because I feel like DePoto got his guys, right?
Agreed.
Because the first one was Santana.
Mm-hmm.
Got him at the beginning. Was that like at the very beginning of July?
It was very close to the beginning of July. It was pretty much right before the win streak.
And I don't think that's a coincidence.
No, it's not, because we needed that veteran leadership. When Carlos Santana came in, we got Santana Cash. We gave up Wyatt Mills and William Fleming. Wyatt Mills, brief MLB experience here and there, not very good. Much better off going to Kansas City. Wish him the best. But Carlos Santana coming in, just the leadership that he brought, just everything. The people didn't listen to the Big Show. The Jim Edmonds interview, very much, what Edmonds spoke on, just the guy who can bring culture, who can set the tone, clubhouse bring culture. The culture, clubhouse culture, and that's Carlos Santana.
Yeah.
Since Santana's been there, we've seen the return of the swell mitt.
Yeah.
We've seen energy. We've seen life out of everyone but Marco Gonzalez, it seems.
Yeah.
But
that's been trouble. But no, I think that's honestly a huge deal. He's gotten to be really close with Julio Rodriguez. He's like a big brother to him. He's really worked with Cal Raleigh as far as his approach as a switch hitter. And talk about somebody who's like taken a 180 this season. The dude got optioned to AAA and then was forced to come back up like 2 days later when Murphy got hurt. Yeah. Hello, and here's the Cal Raleigh we've been waiting for.
That was honestly was a huge wake up call. I think woke Cal Raleigh up. He's like, oh crap, I'm not locked into this position.
Right. That they're willing to go with Luis Torrens for a few days rather than me right now. I think that was a big slap in the face for him.
But then he also started getting consistent playing time.
That's the thing. I was going to say, I think consistent playing time was the biggest thing for him, is that he wasn't splitting time with two other catchers.
Yeah.
And I think Santana, too, coming in and be like, hey, this is your approach. This should be your approach as a switch hitter. I know Cal's been a switch hitter his entire life, but not at the big league level. Everything changes when you get to the bigs, right? So I think that's been another huge piece. The other big acquisition that the Mariners made was Luis Castillo, NBD, all-star pitcher from the Reds. Hello,
two-time all-star pitcher from the Reds, and we gave up a good amount of prospects. We gave up Nove Marte, a top 100 prospect in baseball, Edwin Arroyo, a second-round pick last year. Really looked like he was hitting. Levi Stout, a 2020 pick, who was in Double-A already, but a lot of the 2020 guys are already in Double-A just because they got that experience in summer camp.
Yeah.
Granted, there's only like 5 rounds. There's only like 10 rounds, so.
Right, but still, they got to play at the big club during summer camp. So I feel like that was really helpful for a lot of those guys. Some of them did not benefit quite as much as I thought they would have. One of them was starting in center field tonight.
Yeah.
Jared Kelnick. Still a little disappointed there.
And Andrew Moore all got sent to Cincinnati for Luis Castillo. It's a great move. I love it. I seen Nove Marte play a handful of times live, just, where I'm at with location against the Dust Devils. And he's huge. He's a good player. He's immature. He's so immature. And I think that was a lot of the decision that made the Mariners okay with partying with Marte, because the Reds are probably going to find that out real quick.
I still think he's going to be starting for them either opening day or June.
He's 100% their opening day shortstop next year. I mean, he has a path to do it. Arroyo probably starts out in Double-A next year. Stout probably makes their rotation.
Yeah.
And Andrew Moore probably makes their bullpen.
Well, and this is the other thing with the Marte deal is, like, a lot of people were really upset about, like, oh, that's our shortstop. No, it's not your shortstop of the future. We've got J.P. Crawford locked up for 5 more years. Like, Marte was blocked. He was blocked at shortstop. You got Suarez. You got Gino Suarez. He's blocked at third base. He's not a second baseman, which is a position that,
be a second baseman. He refuses to be a second baseman.
Exactly, which is the need. If he had been willing,
he's not a good defensive shortstop.
If he had been willing to switch to second base, he's on the big club next year. and he's not
Well,
traded. But I think
100%.
a refusal to change positions, immaturity on the field, because that's one thing. So we talked to David Sampson a few weeks ago, and he was talking about immaturity and body language on the field. And the first guy he brought up was Jared Kelnick. I was like, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. I feel like that's a
Mhm.
big part of the reason Kelnick struggles is because it's all up in his head.
Yeah.
So if he can
And
get that sorted out, he'll be a great player. But at the same
mhm.
time, I think that's one of the problems they saw with Marte. And the fact that they drafted Cole Young, they're like, we can move on from Marte. We're not dire with shortstop depth anymore.
And
Move on
Edwin
from Marte.
Arroyo, he was only an low A ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Second round pick a year ago. That's where Cole Young's going to be next year.
Yeah.
Like, yes, he looks great. He could flail out hardcore. Levi Stout,
Right.
back of the rotation arm. We don't need a back of the rotation arm. We have Emerson Hancock for that next year.
Mm-hmm.
If we need it. Andrew Moore probably was never going to make the big league club. Probably was never going to get past AA or AAA in our system.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a great trade. The farm is not cooked. There's still a lot of talent there. Emerson Hancock is going to be a stud.
Tons.
He's going to be another. We talked about outfield depth at the beginning of this season, and I'll talk about that in just a minute because that's an issue. But we talked about outfield depth at the beginning of the season. Talk about pitching depth. Right now, you got Robbie Ray, you got Luis Castillo, you got Logan Gilbert and George Kirby up at the big club. But then you got Flexen and Gonzalez. You got to figure out what to do with those guys.
And you still have guys like Emerson Hancock, Adam Matko, Taylor Dollard, Bryce Miller, and so many more down at, a lot of these guys are at AA. Hancock, Dollard, Miller, Matko, they're all AA guys right now.
Right.
And I
can think of worse problems to have.
Dominant at AA, which is exactly what you want to see from pitchers at that level because that's where so much talent is.
Yeah. Yeah, the talent is in AA. For those who are not familiar with the progression and the formatting of the minor league system, your best players, your prospects, thrive in AA. That's where you want them to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Your AAAs, your more experienced guys, it's kind of your cooler, where it's like, and that's why a lot of the AAA teams are close by the big clubs like Tacoma to Seattle, because that's where you dip in. Like, we got an injury, we got to bring somebody up. Okay. Because you don't want to dip into your prospects if they're not ready. So you leave them down in AA, and then they can make their debut next season if they're ready. Like Exhibit A, Julio Rodriguez.
Yep.
Went straight from AA to the bigs. It's getting to be more and more common because guys are ready, and there's more incentive to bring guys up as well now after the new CBA.
And then you have low A and high A, which really meant for your guys who were signed internationally, who are coming out of high school that just need a little bit more time because they're young. They can mesh really well at that level. And it's where
college guys are still heading there after the draft.
Yeah, college guys are heading there after the draft. So
yeah, college guys will usually go straight into low A, and they'll progress into high A typically. But
none of our guys
haven't progressed yet.
None of our draft picks from this draft have gone to low A or high A or AA yet.
Are they at extended spring still, or are they at the training facility?
They're all at ACL. Yep.
Huh. Maybe I'll see if I can head over and
see somebody. AJ Izzy and Walter Ford, aka Vanilla Missile, neither are pitching this season in the ACL. They're both focusing on conditioning and building up muscle and getting in like professional shape because they're out of high school. They're high school pitchers.
Mm-hmm.
They're being very careful with them because they had to pay them over slot to get them out of high school. So
that's a great move. I love that. Condition those guys.
Yeah,
that's
so
amazing.
Smart. And they both already have mid-90 fastballs plus breaking stuff from both of them. Like,
you get those guys in professional baseball shape, and that fastball will move up to high 90s at least.
Oh yeah,
that'll be awesome.
Well, and they have a couple other guys too that are. Yeah, they have a couple other guys from the draft that are already there in the high 90s.
That'll be really good. Okay, so we talked about trades and the draft. Let's talk about some of the remaining issues. There's always going to be some holes after the trade deadline still. Jewell, you had a couple of specific guys you wanted to talk about as far as remaining issues. Go ahead and lead us in with this one.
Yeah, so one trade we didn't hit on that kind of fills the void for one of these players, for two trades that fill in the void for two of my players that are holes as of today. Luis Torrens and Abraham Toro. They're gone. They're done. I'm done with them. I'm done with them both. I know you're an Abraham Toro stan. But we just got Jake Lamb from the Dodgers for a player to be named later. He's a Seattle native. He comes back home. 121 WRC plus this season.
Pretty good.
We also traded, AAA reliever Michael Striffler, who just got promoted like 2 days ago to AAA. And a single A catcher, Andy Thomas, who's actually pretty good, but not better than Harry Ford. Actually opens up a spot for Harry Ford in high A, but
I think they're going to be really, really careful with Harry Ford.
Yeah, they are. I doubt Harry Ford progresses this year. He probably will.
Mm-hmm.
It's natural, especially now they have the opening at high A after Andy Thomas's move. But Matthew Boyd comes in to fill a long inning relief role. Lefty. Mm-hmm. He's a Seattle local. Went to high school ball in Seattle. He played for the Beavers at Oregon State, led them to the College World Series, and he has a home in Issaquah. He is
nice.
Ecstatic to be home in Seattle with the Mariners. And then you got Kirk Casalli, a legit backup veteran catcher. Not a bum like Luis Torrens. And guess who can hit left-handed pitching? Kirk Casalli. 1.153 OPS versus left-handed pitching this season.
Nice.
So
Casalli to me was a huge pickup because LT has been like Luis Torrens has been a massive black hole for this roster. Anytime that I see that Cal Raleigh is not catching, I'm just like freaking lost right there.
Yes, and I love that it's Kirk Casalli because he has experience, playing with Luis Castillo. He's a vet. Mm-hmm. He's a veteran guy. He's a vet. Exactly what the Mariners needed. Literally the perfect move. And then you had a guy like Jonathan Villar that was signed to a minor league deal just to really push the likes of Toro and LT kind of out, while Haggerty, again, showed his worth again today.
Oh, yeah, he did. Comes in and pinch hits for Jared Kelenic, for those who didn't see, and hit a dinger to left field. Sam Haggerty has earned his spot on this roster. When they get to be at full strength, Sam Haggerty had better be around, or I'm going to be concerned there's something going on in that front office, because he has definitely earned his spot 1,000%. For me, like the big issue that we still have is just that outfield is not healthy right now. It is funny because one of the things we talked about was at the beginning of the season was the depth in the outfield. It's like, well, where are you going to put them? You got Jesse Winker, you've got Julio Rodriguez, Jared Kelenic, and then Taylor Trammell, and then Kyle Lewis, and Mitch Haniger. Like, where are you going to put these guys? It's like, well none of them are healthy.
We're going to put them on the IL for most of the season. That was the solution. That was the solution for that. And we're going to be forced to stick with Jesse Winker's lack of production.
So this is the thing with Winker. It's kind of funny because he's hitting the ball again, right? He's not striking out, and he's walking.
Yeah, he's doing Jesse Winker things.
But this is the thing, is that he went through a little phase there where he was striking out, but now he's hitting the ball again. This is what he did at the beginning of the season. He started hitting the ball again, and then he started getting on base. So I think by the end of the month, we're going to see Jesse Winker producing again. He's going to be back to the Jesse Winker pre-All-Star break when everybody was hitting, because Adam Frazier's back to hitting again.
Yep, that was my next player that was my next, what remained.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I told you at the beginning of the season, I love Adam Frazier because this dude just gets on base. And he's back to getting on base again. He got on base 4 times. Back to getting on base,
and he's just being productive. Him staying productive is huge. I think that was a huge reason the Mariners didn't swing further at like a Brandon Drury and like included in the Luis Castillo trade, or trying to go further, Merrifield, or going for Whit Merrifield, like, because they have a productive Adam Frazier, a 356 BABIP in July. Last 16 games, 368 batting average, 21 hits, and a 403 OBP in his last 16, not including today.
Yeah, that's amazing. But it does lead to one problem though, is that there are a lot of guys who hit their best from the leadoff spot on this roster. Yeah, Adam Frazier seems to bat his best from the leadoff spot. Julio Rodriguez is an outstanding, although unexpected, leadoff hitter.
Yeah, I almost rather it go back to kind of how we saw back in the beginning of the season, where we saw Frazier The Frazier, France, Julio.
Frazier, France, Julio, yeah.
Like top of the lineup, because that just works. It just works. France just works in that 2-hole, very much like Kyle Seager used to.
Uh-huh.
He used to
But
just
do you want
thrive.
Julio? Do you want Julio in the 4-hole batting cleanup?
No, I want him in the third. I want him in the 3-hole, so he's out there in the first inning to drive in 2 guys that are more than likely not going to be on base.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, so Frazier, France, J-Rod. Then you got Gino, Raleigh, Winker, or no.
Whoever's in right field. Because, I mean,
yeah,
Haniger's going to be back for this.
At 5. Haniger is an outstanding fifth-hole hitter.
Haniger's back for this LA series.
Oh, he's back this weekend?
Haniger's back Friday. They're expecting him back Friday, and he's ready. Good. I think he had 6 home runs on this minor league rehab assignment. His timing's there.
He hit and got hit, though, is the problem. He got hit 5 times in his rehab stint.
Yeah, but his outfield looks good.
He's good to go.
Everything looks good. You put that affords you to put, Haniger back in right. Julio, when he comes off, he'll probably spend the minimum because he's Julio. He's a freak of nature.
Yeah.
That affords you to be able to platoon Winker and K-Lou some DH days between the two.
So let's talk about the DH for a minute, because that leads to another problem that we have right now. It's so weird talking about the Mariners being too deep in certain spots, because what do you do with France and Santana?
France, Santana, you have Trammell coming back, you have Haniger coming back. You have a great bullpen right now, but you also have Diego Castillo, you have Ken Giles, you have other guys who are on rehab assignments right now who are getting healthy. I don't know. I think you just kind of got to play the matchup. You got to play the hot hand, and it's going to suck. But then you have incredibly quality guys in Lamb coming off the bench. You have Haggerty coming off the bench to pitch run. You have Carlos Santana who can come in and switch hit off the bench. Have, and if you need to, you want to keep France in the game, you move him to second, keep him in the game.
So hold on just a minute though. Let's talk specifically about France and Santana though, because that's 1A and 1B for first base, right? And I feel like the guy who's not starting, you want DHing, right? But then you've got Kyle Lewis who can DH. You got Haniger who can DH.
I don't think Haniger's going to DH because of how much outfield he's played on his rehab assignment. There's no way he's going to DH.
Right, and I don't think he needs to either, because he needs to be out. He does need to be out in the outfield, because Kelenic is not hitting.
No, Kelnic's not hitting.
He looks lost on the big league field.
Granted,
I don't know what the problem is.
It sucks that he had to come back on the road, and he doesn't get. Granted, you're a big league baseball player. You should be able to adjust. Coming back, going into your situation, no matter what it is, and prove your worth. But I don't know, with how gentle they've been with him, it probably would have been smarter to just, instead of DFAing and optioning Marcus Wilson, just call up Marcus Wilson again.
I think that had happened right before. I think that happened the day before they needed to call Kelenic up. Was the problem with that?
They DFA'd him on 7:30.
Yeah, so I don't know. It's weird to have these odd problems, right? And they're good problems to have because it means you've got depth. But at the same time, I feel like there's something to be said with consistent playing time. Getting in the roster every day in your spot. We talked about Cal Raleigh, him getting consistent at bats, getting in the roster every day at your same spot, your same position. You get comfortable, you get settled in. You're not going to the ballpark every day being am I starting today or am I pinch hitting in the 8th?
Yeah, and it's and then you even run into more of a problem because if you're going Frazier, France, Julio, DH, Haniger, do you go Raleigh at 6, JP at 7?
Because I feel like that's too deep for JP.
That's way too deep for JP. You got to have him at 6. JP can hit in the 4-hole, though. We've seen it.
Right.
He's productive in the 4-hole.
He's best 1 through 6.
And if the lineup turns over 1, 2, 3 in the first, I would love to have JP start off the second instead of Carlos Santana.
Yeah, have that speed. Yeah, it's weird. It's strange. It's going to be interesting to watch how they address it. See what goes on with dealing with, like I said, just like so much depth that we haven't seen before. But teams manage it, right? Like that's part of the reason the Astros win is because they're deep.
They're so deep.
If one guy gets hurt, they bring another guy in. They continue to win. The Yankees have done it for a long time. Right now, they're kind of at a point where their pitching is depleted because of injury. But as far as like Joey Gallo has been absent the entire season, but they continue to win because they plug somebody else in his spot who can win.
Now he's with the Dodgers, so not a problem.
Gleyber Torres didn't even start tonight. Gleyber Torres did not play tonight until the bases were loaded with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th inning. They brought him in to walk the game off to win it for the Yankees. They didn't need him to get to that point. He's one of their best players.
Yeah. I mean, and
so these are the kind of problems that good teams deal with, and being able to manage them correctly is what makes them good.
Yes, and there's even it goes even deeper than that. Like there's so much outfield depth in this system too.
There continues to be.
You have 4 top 20 prospects that are outfielders that are at high A or double A.
Yeah, so it's going to continue to be a problem going forward, but I think they're going to show us how good they are by being able to manage it, because there are teams that get stacked and loaded, and you think that they're a lock to get to the postseason and to win the World Series, and they end up being the Padres of 2021.
Yep, and just while we're recording, just breaking MLB news, Vince Scully passed away today.
No way! Just got
that notification about 6 minutes ago.
Whoa! Dang.
The greatest broadcaster of all time. Not even arguably, the greatest broadcaster of all time. Passed away. That's crazy. Just got a notification about 5 minutes ago. So.
Wow.
It's baseball news, so I figured
Yeah. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. So I feel bad moving on, but we do need to move on so we can wrap up.
Yeah.
But rest in peace, Vince Scully. Thank you for everything. My goodness.
Everything. Changed the game. Changed broadcasting.
Yes, he did. He did. Did it by himself. He did it by himself for what? 70 years?
Color, everything.
Nobody in the booth with him for however long he did it. The whole time. It was amazing.
Set the path for guys like Dave Niehaus and other great broadcasters around the league. So yeah, rest in peace to Vince Scully. Thoughts to his family.
The greatest ever.
Now for the home stretch, what's left for the home stretch, Brad? To you,
okay? Predictions for the home stretch. I don't see the Mariners. First off, I don't see them falling out of the wild card. Not going to catch the Astros for the division. I thought that maybe there was a chance there for a little while. Like I went through and I did some math right after the All-Star break. I was like, they could be playing for the division, like the division lead Labor Day weekend. It's not going to happen. The Astros are going to bulldoze, but they're not. It's so weird. They're not though, right? Like
they are because
I say that like it's a no-brainer, but then at the same time they go and they lose to the Red Sox, right? Who's like playing worse baseball than anybody but the Angels right now.
Yeah, no, it's the Angels. The Astros are.
They lost again. They've lost 2 in a row to the Astros or to the Red Sox.
I don't know the new
Just
Red
let everybody
Sox
else do the dirty work. Like is
Tommy
that
Pham.
what we do?
Tommy Pham, different for the Red Sox, man.
Maybe they shouldn't have picked up Christian Vasquez. Right?
I'm joking. They're not. The second year in a row the Astros done that. They've traded for a player from the opposing team, and it's bid them both times. Because then the Mariners hit that walk-off against them, and I'm pretty sure they won that series last year.
Toro later hit a grand slam off Graveman, and that was one of the greatest moments I've ever seen in baseball history. Okay, so the rest of the way, though, I do think the Mariners are going to hold serve in the wild card. The schedule is not so difficult that's going to be an issue. I'm not worried about that. Because coming up, So you're going to finish this series against the Yankees. Then we're going to go home. Got 4 against the Angels. The Angels play really well in Seattle, but there probably won't be any Mike Trout. Got to deal with Ohtani home runs off the Hit It Here Cafe. If those are solo shots, fine, right?
There will be solo shots because no one can get on base.
That's right. Yeah, they're going to be solo shots.
They're going to be solo shots.
I'm okay with that.
If we only have to worry about Shohei Ohtani, he's probably going to pitch once because there's 4 games. Unless we somehow get lucky enough and we avoid a Shohei Ohtani having to go against him, which I doubt we will. But no Mike Trout, then
can't win a series with one guy, right?
No.
So and then there's 3 against the Yankees at home, then go to Texas, and then play the Angels again for 3, and then to Oakland. Now,
love it.
Gonna finish off the month with the Nats at home. Too bad that's only 2 games.
No Juan Soto
on the big show.
No Juan Soto.
Right, man. So I said this on the big show. I went to a Diamondbacks game with the Nationals in town last week or 2 weeks ago. The Nats made the Diamondbacks look like a playoff team. It was not ever close. It was
we don't play any competitive teams because now the A's don't have Montes or Trevino.
Right. That's amazing. But I will say this, is that Cleveland is going to be in Seattle, but so am I the end of August. I'm going to be at the Ichiro Hall of Fame game on the 27th. I'll tweet out some deets on that, where I'm going to be and everything, so you can come see me. And if you find me, I'll buy you a hot dog or something. That'll be fun.
From the value menu, of course.
From the value menu, exactly, because I'm cheap. But anyway, and then go to Detroit, and then go to Cleveland, and then the White Sox at home, the Braves at home. That'll be a tough series. That'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a really good litmus test to see where the Mariners are beginning of September, and against, again, top-tier team, because the Braves are the best team in the National League right now.
Yeah, and as part of that Angels series, they have no one to close out that game because now Raisel Iglesias is on the Braves.
You're right.
So, and they don't have Brandon Marsh. They're going to rely on Joe Adell. No Rendon. Jared Walsh has been streaky at best. And I don't know, the schedule looks really, 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 really good. So I'm excited. I'm with you 100%. Everything you're saying, echo, amen.
The Padres are coming. So this is going to be a problematic stretch. I'll give you this real quick. This is the middle of September, so we got a ways before this is going to happen. But 3 games against Atlanta, 2 games against the Padres at home. 5 games.
We beat them last time. We can beat them again. They'll probably have Tatis and Soto.
I still think they can beat them. It'll be a great series. It's going to be a big time series.
It's going to be some fun series. Fun series.
Yeah, for sure. But that's the tough stretch right there, is those 5 games. That's as tough as it gets. That's tough as it gets in big league baseball right now. But c'est la vie, right?
La vie.
So nice. So what do you see happening, Jewell? Your predictions. I think that the Mariners will be okay. They'll win just about every series the rest of the way. I'm confident.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm 100% with you. 100% with you. They're going to push for that first wild card. I'd much rather than have the second wild card, because I think we can match up against New York in the playoffs a lot better than we'll match up against Houston.
Yes, exactly. I was looking at that today, and I was like, you know what? I'll even take the third wild card spot, because the third wild card spot is going to play against the Twins in the wild card round, and I'll take that matchup. But I'll also take a matchup against either, who would it be? It would be against, right now it would be against the Blue Jays, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll take a matchup against the Blue Jays. Take 2 out of 3 games against them for sure. Yeah, but yeah, maybe play the matchups and play for the Yankees in the second round.
I honestly, I would love because we're a first round matchup against the Yankees right now.
Well, not the wild card, because the Yankees have a bye.
Unless Houston gets the bye.
There's two teams that get a bye. 1 and 2 seeds get byes. So right now, New York and Houston get byes, and then 3 through 6 play. 3, 6, 4, and 5 play.
So we'd be playing 4. Yeah. I'd much rather try to get that number 1 spot to go up against the AL Central.
That's what I'm saying. Play against the Twins.
Yeah, much rather do that.
Except I think you would have to. I think it would be the third wild card spot. You'd be the sixth seed going up against the Twins. But yeah, then second round you would get the Yankees. So, right? I think that's how that works.
Yeah, something like that.
Maybe I'm not sure.
The format's confusing.
It is because they're not going to reseed like the NFL does.
No,
that's a whole thing. But man, it's exciting. It's going to be a really exciting stretch. A lot of guys coming back. And one of the things I heard David Samson talking about was he said that you're going to see a lot of teams, because there's a lot of injuries, you're going to see a lot of teams not make moves at the deadline because they're going to say, hey, we've got our star coming back off the IL. That's our acquisition. Mitch Haniger could be considered another trade acquisition because he's only played a handful of games this season.
Yep.
Right?
And then Taylor Trammell, Ken Giles.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
right. It's like the laundry list, but to me, Haniger is the big one.
Yeah.
Is the big one. So
yeah.
Because the wheels kind of fell off there for a while. Yeah. Yeah, it'll be good. Get back to full strength through the home stretch. And hopefully the injury bug is gone from the clubhouse at this point. Because kind of got bit there for a little while. Yeah.
Can't. No more.
Fingers crossed. But hey, don't forget to like, subscribe, rate, and review the show. You can check the big show out every Tuesday. We come out with new episodes. This week we did our emoji tiers. We do that at the beginning of every month, where it's basically our version of power rankings, where we
so much fun.
Rate the teams, put them in 5 different tiers. A couple weeks ago we talked to Jim Edmonds. That was an outstanding interview. If you haven't heard that, go back and listen to it.
That was literally amazing.
It was fantastic. It was a ton of fun. Then make sure that you
good.
subscribe so you don't miss any episodes when they drop on Tuesday. That's me and my co-host Brig on the Baseball Together podcast. Jewell, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me at theballboyblog.com. Same handle on Instagram, Twitter. Super active on Twitter. So that's where I'm at. That's where I'll be. That's where I live.
Nice. Very good. Well, baseball family, thank you so much for joining us for this month's therapy session. A very productive, great session, very positive. I'm hoping that we can continue the positivity and the good vibes through the rest of the season. And we will catch you next month.